Why showing your product is killing your B2B deals, and the failure state frame FIS used to win Best B2B Campaign of 2026 so far. In this video, we're going to cover how FIS, HP, Workday, and GE all ran the same campaign structure across 4 markets. They generated 700% ROI without showing in a single product screenshot. We're also going to look at why 95% of your B2B buyers aren't in market today, and the one creative format that reaches them before your competitors do. Lastly, we'll look at 6 to 12 month forecasts within this window of fintech, enterprise software, and cybersecurity, which signals to tell you when it's closing. Welcome to the Strategy Signal. I'm Matt Hain. Let's dive in. So, what is the failure state frame strategy? First off, you dramatize the cost of the problem staying unsolved and leave your solution implied. Instead of showing what your product does, you show what life looks like when the problem just never gets fixed. The buyer's brain fills in the solution, and the convenience is you never even have to pitch it. So what did FIS do? So FIS launched the Money in Harmony campaign. It's up on their website. It's not on YouTube. FIS stands for Fidelity National Information Services, in case you didn't know. 3 campaign films showing the nightmare of broken financial infrastructure. We'll look at 2 of them in this video. Not the FIS product dashboard, a synthetic identity slipping through the cracks. Cash flow turned into a game of chance. Payments stuck in an endless loop. Each spot resolved on a single line. Let FIS bring your world back into harmony. The product appeared as a whisper, a copyright whisper, not as a pitch. So $26 million in attributable contract value, 700% ROI on a $6 million media investment. Best in show at 2026 ANA B2B Awards. So here's something to look out for when we watch these videos together. First off, it's a creative angle. FIS frames broken infrastructure as a personal nightmare, not a systems failure. The emotional premise is helplessness, dread, a completely different brief than any feature ad. The copywriting move here to watch out for is that the copy never leads with the product. Each film opens on the failure state, then resolves on a single line and no dashboard. No features, just the relief of the problem never named or finally named and answered. Also, something to look out for is that the copy names a failure state before the brand does. FIS appears only as the resolution. One closing line across all 3 spots, 9 words, no features, just the promise. And what's absent is a dashboard, an integration list, the ROI calculator. So let's take a look at this campaign right here. Oops.
The wrong financial technology can turn your cash flow into a game of chance.
Who's ready to get paid?
People are excited. Invoice, payment delayed because of your technology. Everyone goes crazy. Breakdown ensues. Let FIS bring your world into harmony. You can see a lot of the promises right in there. There's no discussion of the features, the dashboard, the fintech. It's all about here's crazy chaos, and here is the promise that we bring you. Let's watch the second one.
The wrong financial technology can let cyber threats and fraud infiltrate your business.
And here they come in, causing a whole bunch of chaos, stealing your information. And they have this kind of robotic voice. They're even taking away your server. So it's novel, right? Every good copywriter that I know, what they do is they start with a joke, a premise. And that's usually some of the best sales that you have there. And that's what they did really well. So let's talk a little bit about why this pattern works now. There's 3 forces that make this the right move for B2B in 2026. Number 1 is the 95% problem that I mentioned at the beginning of this. Ehrenberg Bass research showed roughly 95% of B2B buyers aren't in market today. Feature ads reach only the 5% who are already shopping. A vivid failure state plants itself in the 95% who will buy later. And it's still there when the pain finally spikes. You're not selling to them now, you're occupying a seat in their head. The second reason is AI commodity content continues to be another reason why this campaign did so well. Generative AI is still flooding every B2B channel with optimized feature copy. Speeds and feeds are now free and infinite and identical across competitors. Emotion cuts through because it can't be faked into resonance at scale. The CFO's 11 p.m. dread can't be an A/B tested into existence or A/B tested campaign into existence. The third reason is the CTV to LinkedIn pipeline. Connected TV delivers emotional reach to enterprise buyers at home. LinkedIn captures the warmed audience the next morning. FIS, HP, and Workday all use the same two-step path. It's becoming standard B2B demand plumbing, which means the window for running it first is probably closing. So these forces are converging. The first mover window for the failure state frame creative is roughly 6 to 12 months before it becomes more commonplace. But you know what? It also works in 3 other industries. For instance, HP, enterprise technology. Christian Slater played a hacker walking through a company's defenses via a mailroom printer. HP never showed the printer's security specs. They showed the nightmare, right? The pain point of not having them. So purchase intent here more than doubled its target, and printer sales ran 3x ahead over the goal. The second area was Workday, enterprise software. Ozzy Osbourne, Joan, Jett, Travis Barker dramatized the gap between how HR buyers see themselves and how the business world actually treats them. Workday never showed the platform's UI. They showed the identity wound, 65% lift in brand consideration and 50% uptick in lead volume. And the third area where this strategy worked is GE, industrial recruiting. A brilliant young programmer's friends couldn't understand why he'd pick GE over a first hat startup. GE showed the failure state of a company that doesn't understand what technical talent actually wants. They had an 8 times increase in job applications. So then the question becomes, well, should you use this pattern? There's 4 questions you want to ask yourself. And if you have a client who's interested in this kind of approach, the first question is the problem actually invisible to the buyer? If the pain is already obvious, dramatization adds nothing. So you notice from these earlier videos, there's a lot of drama, a lot of fast-paced movement, but really doesn't mean anything if the pain is already obvious. So compete on proof or price instead. The failure state frame works when the buyer hasn't yet named their own dread, and FIS named the CFO's 11 p.m. fear before anyone else did. The second question you want to be asking is, does the client own data that qualifies the cost? Without their own harmony gap, research that makes the failure state specific and defensible, the emotional campaign dies in the CFO's budget review. Oxford Economics built the research spine for FIS, commissioned the equivalent before you brief the creative. The third question you want to ask is the funnel built before the creative? This is just a basic marketing question. Name the conversion action first. Emotion with no destination evaporates into brand awareness that converts nothing. We saw this a little bit with the American Eagle campaign about 2 weeks ago. Huge spike in traffic, and then sales just fell down after that. FIS targeted 53 named accounts with follow-on ABM. Build the funnel before the film goes into production. And then number 4, does the brand have real standing to name this pain? The founder scar, a category they actually live in, an earned claim to the wound, not borrowed sympathy. The brand needs the credibility to stay. We know what this nightmare feels like. Without that, the emotional frame rings hollow. So what's one red flag? Emotion that runs ahead of the product ability to deliver. IBM dramatized Watson's ability to fix healthcare. MD Anderson shelved the project after $62 million. The failure state frame amplifies or extends or augments outcomes, good and bad. Of course, if you wanted to implement this, you want to do 5 things. First, map the invisible failure state. Find the specific thing your buyer is afraid of at 11 p.m. that no competitor is naming out loud. Number 2, Commission-owned research. Qualify the cost of the problem staying unsolved. This becomes a campaign's credibility layer, the harmony gap that makes the emotional premise defensible in a budget conversation. And number 3, define the conversion action first. Before briefing any creative, name the bottom funnel action, the named account, the demo request, the internal signal. Emotion without funnel underneath is just brand awareness tax. And number 4, build the two-step media path. Emotional reach at the top, CTV, video, connected TV, demand capture of the warmed audience the next morning, LinkedIn, ABM, named account outreach. This is exactly what FIS did. And then number 5, verify brand standing. Confirm the brand has credible, earned authority to name the specific wound before spending $1 on production. Now, just reflecting a little bit more about this, the wound was really the proof of standing here. During the campaign window, FIS's own search queries were trending on layoffs, security settlement, and even acquisition costs. They did not look perfect during this time. In fact, they looked the opposite. The 53 named enterprise accounts they were targeting could see all of it. Rational analysis, rational thinking says that kills the harmony message. Don't do that. But it actually did the opposite. A company describing financial chaos from inside financial chaos, because they know what it's like, doesn't sound like a vendor. Instead, it actually sounds like a witness. FIS could name the CFO's 11 p.m. dread because they were living in plain sight publicly, and the accounts they were selling to knew it. What that means for your clients. So many brands try to run the failure state frame with a polished position. We understand your pain, right? Without the proof. And the FIS campaign inverts that logic. This is what I love about this signal architecture. There's a rational narrative. Then there's something that pops up that seems like irrational, doesn't seem to work, seems illogical, and yet that's a thing to build upon. So again, the brands closest to the wound are often the most qualified to name it. And this disharmony wasn't a liability to manage around. It was the campaign's credibility source. So where will this campaign go next? If you're looking at the failure frame strategy and you're wondering if it's worth your time in the next 6 to 12 months, here's the read. More enterprise infrastructure brands will likely ship dramatized failure state campaigns rooted from CTV and LinkedIn through 2027. I see fintech, enterprise software, cybersecurity feel it first. Long sales cycles, invisible pain, rational buyers who are also afraid, Anthropics keep thinking winning best B2B campaign at Ad Age's 2006 Creativity Awards alongside FIS's ANA win signals this has reached critical mass at the top tier. The mid-market follows in 6 to 12 months, I think, and the most likely scenario A, probably about a 50% probability, the failure state frame becomes the dominant emotional format in B2B enterprise creative before 2028. So here's some things to watch out for. Mid-market fintech cybersecurity, brands launching problem dramatization creative and paid social, confirms the pattern leaking down market ahead of schedule. A published post-mortem of a high production failure state campaign with flat pipeline confirms imitators are copying the cinematography and cinematic format without the funnel underneath. Klaviyo, Typeform, or even HubSpot, possibly shipping a dramatize your buyer's fear ad template. This all signals that the window is closing fast. The window is currently open right now. If your client is in fintech, enterprise software, or cybersecurity, the first mover window is open right now. Name the buyer's failure state before a competitor does. In the 6 to 12 month horizon here, I see fintech and enterprise software move first, cybersecurity follows, mid-market brands enter when the first templates ship. And I would just start this week. Identify the specific thing your client buyer is afraid of at 11 p.m. at night that no one is naming out loud. That's your brief. Build the funnel before you write the creative. So again, I'm Matthew from the Strategy Signal over here at Vibe. Everyone reads the same campaigns, but nobody forecasts where they're going next. The next industry to run the failure state frame will likely do in the next 6 to 12 months. If you'd like to subscribe to know which one before your client's competitors do. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Catch you later.